Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and today I'd like to announce my big summer trip. And as you can tell by the title, we're going to Japan. And I'm pretty excited for this. This is my first ever big international trip. First, let's talk about the itinerary for the trip. 3 days after this video releases will be the start of the trip on Sunday, June 2nd. First, we'll be flying to Los Angeles on my favorite US airline, Southwest, and we'll arrive in LA roughly around 11 p.m. As a coaster enthusiast, how are we not going to visit a park before the actual trip starts? So of course, in Los Angeles, we'll be visiting Knott's Berry Farm. It's easily one of my favorite parks in the US, but I'm a little worried because I checked the scheduled closures, and Ghost Rider, Accelerator, Calico Mine Ride, and Jaguar are all supposed to be closed. I'm hoping by next week all those rides reopen, because if we miss those, that is like beyond unfortunate. On day 3 is when we finally fly out to Japan. We're using Delta Airlines, so hopefully it's a good experience. I flew them going to California last year. It was pretty good, so I'm hoping it's good on this long haul flight. On day 4, we will finally arrive in Japan, roughly around 2 p.m. at Tokyo Haneda Airport. And surprisingly, on the first day, we're already going to visit a park. And what's that park? The first park we're visiting is Tokyo Dome City, in the heart of Tokyo. They're famous for having 2 coasters, one of course being Thunder Dolphin, the Intamin Mega Coaster, which looks very strange, but super excited to ride it. And the second coaster they have is Panic Coaster Backdan, which is some type of Gerstlauer family coaster. I've been avoiding spoilers since it opened in 2019, so I'm super excited to check it out. Hopefully it's fun and I'll be surprised. On day 5, our first full day in Japan, we'll be hitting 2 parks. They're definitely not good parks and they're definitely not big parks, but we're going down to Yokohama and we're visiting 2 smaller amusement parks. The first one being Yokohama Cosmo World, and they're of course famous for having Diving Coaster Vanish, the famous coaster that is in a lot of clickbait YouTube videos that goes underwater. It doesn't really look good at all, but I'm super excited because I've been seeing images of this coaster for years, so I'm super excited to check it off. The second park that we're visiting is actually kind of intriguing. It's Sea Paradise, and they have a very good looking coaster called Sea Coaster Leviathan. This will be my first ever Togo coaster, and it kind of looks like a jet coaster, but it's apparently really intense with that 900-degree helix. And the rest of the day will be used for sightseeing, and I know you guys don't give a shit about that, so off to the next day. On day 6 is again another sightseeing day. And I would skip past this day, but I just want to talk about one thing. We'll be seeing Tokyo Skytree, which is one of the world's tallest man-made structures, which I'm just beyond excited to see. On day 7, we'll be finally visiting our first full-scale amusement park, and that park is Nasu Highland in Nasu, Japan. This park looks very weird in the best way possible. They have, of course, their highlighting coaster, Big Boom, this Meisho weird contraption. It looks absolutely incredible. It's famous for having that really steep drop, and its nickname, the steel version of El Toro. I'm super excited to get a ride in the back row, and hopefully it beats my expectations. The other coasters there don't really look like the greatest, especially F2, that thing looks fucking terrible. But Camel Coaster will be my first ever jet coaster, and it actually looks pretty fun. On day 8, we're visiting 2 full-fledged amusement parks. The first one being Tobo Zoo. Now, a lot of people don't really think Tobo Zoo is good. Actually, a lot of people think it sucks ass, but I'm pretty intrigued to see what it's like. Famous for having 2 Intamin coasters that are very strange. One being Kawasemi, the Intamin Megalight coaster. Obviously, I've never ridden a Megalight coaster, and I'm super excited to see how punchy these Intamin Megalights are. The second coaster they have is also an Intamin, that being Regina 2, that recently reopened from a massive overhaul. This ride was supposed to be permanently closed, but then all of a sudden came back from the dead, and now it actually looks like a smooth wooden coaster, so I'm very excited to check that out. It's definitely not El Toro, but I don't know. Seems like it has good airtime. The second park that we're visiting that day is Yomiuriland, and honestly, like, a lot of people say it's a good park, but from the looks of it, it doesn't really look that good. Obviously, they're famous for having Bandit, the Togo mega coaster. It kind of reminds me of like the Beast at Kings Island, just like not as good. It's Bandit. I'm excited to ride it. They have like a few other like cool rides. Like they have a River Rapids ride that's like themed to noodles, I think, which is like super strange. And last year they opened up a Gerstlauer invert. I have no clue what it's called, but it seems fun. Day 9 is the day I am most excited for, and on day 9 we're visiting Fuji-Q Highland. We're actually going to go to Fuji-Q Highland. This park is one of the most famous parks in Japan, and they might possibly have the greatest coaster in the world, that being Ejinika, the SNS 4D coaster that is 249 feet tall and just looks absolutely insane. As someone who is a big fan of X2, I am beyond excited for Ejinika, and this could possibly be my number 1 coaster. They have 2 other adult coasters that look pretty fun, those being Takabisha and the Intamin motorbike coaster they opened last year. I forgot the name of it, I'll put it right here, but those look pretty fun. Surprisingly, I'm gonna ride Takabisha before I ride TMNT Shellraiser. It's just what happens. And you're probably wondering, why didn't I bring up Fujiyama? Sadly, on this trip, Fujiyama will be down for scheduled maintenance, which I am heartbroken over, because that ride actually looks very solid. So sadly, I will not be riding it on this trip, but I'll sure to get out there eventually. And the biggest loss of the trip is at Fuji-Q Highland, and that is Dodonpa permanently shutting down. If you don't know, Dodonpa was officially announced by Fuji-Q Highland to be retired, and that is just heartbreaking. To see it closed is devastating, but it's alright. Hopefully it's replaced by something good. Day 10 is also Fuji-Q Highland. I'm hoping to get a lot of re-rides on Ejinika and Takabisha. So yeah, that's basically all of day 10. Day 11, we'll be heading down south to a smaller and strange Japanese amusement park called Parque España. Parque España is a Spanish-themed Japanese park, which it's just super weird. Anyways, at Parque España, this park is famous for having Pyrenees, arguably the greatest B&M invert ever made. A classic B&M invert opening in 1997. This ride looks absolutely incredible. I've ridden roughly 20 B&M inverts, and my favorite is still Raptor, and this ride looks like a better Raptor. I think it might be my favorite B&M invert when I ride it. And if we do have time later that day, we're headed to Nagashima Spa Land, and we might be able to go in that night. Day 12 is our full day at Nagashima Spa Land, which I am beyond excited for. Nagashima Spa Land is nicknamed the Cedar Point of Japan, and it just looks absolutely incredible. This park is famous for having Steel Dragon 2000, the world's longest roller coaster, being 8,133 feet long. It's a Morgan. It's not like the craziest thing ever, but I'm intrigued to ride it and finally check off the last gig coaster in the world I've not done. And this park has the only RMC in Asia, being Hakuge, an absolutely ginormous RMC hybrid coaster. Just from the looks of it, it kind of rivals like Steel Vengeance and Iron Gwazi, possibly being the greatest RMC in the world. Super excited for Nagashima Spa Land, but we're only spending a day there, so hopefully I'm able to get all the credits in one day. Day 13, we're going down to the most southern park of the entire trip, that being Universal Studios Japan. I've heard horror stories about this park being absolutely slammed, so I'm hoping I'm able to ride everything I can in that day. This park is famous for having 2 pretty cool B&M coasters, that being Flying Dinosaur, the B&M flying coaster, which looks absolutely insane and looks like the best B&M flying coaster. Then there's Hollywood Dream, which is like a smaller B&M mega coaster. It looks kind of fun. It doesn't really look that good. Intrigued to see how the ride runs backwards and with onboard audio. Day 14 is a sightseeing day, but we still haven't fully planned out the day yet. So our plan is to go through Kyoto and maybe to Hiroshima, and if we have time we might go to Himeji Central Park, but that is definitely not confirmed. If we do go to Himeji Central Park, that would be pretty fun. They have like a bat clone, a Togo, and the original Mauer that came from Space World. On day 15, we're going back to Universal, but not for a full day. We're going for half a day at Universal Studios Japan, and I'm hoping just to get re-rides on the major rides like Forbidden Journey, Flying Dinosaur, and Hollywood Dream. After we spend the half day at Universal Studios Japan, we'll be taking the Shinkansen back up north to Tokyo. And in Tokyo, on day 16, we're hitting Tokyo Disneyland. I am extremely excited. It's been 8 years since I've been to a new Disney park, so I'm super excited to check out Tokyo Disneyland. Tokyo Disneyland doesn't really look like the greatest Disney park, but I'm excited to check out some of the rides and the ones that are only at Tokyo Disneyland, such as Winnie the Pooh and the new Beauty and the Beast ride. As you know, the US Splash Mountains have shut down, and the one in Japan hasn't shut down yet, so I'm excited to go basically into the past and ride Splash Mountain. And the one ride that I am most excited for in Tokyo Disneyland is Space Mountain, because actually at the end of the summer, Disneyland, or Tokyo Disneyland, is shutting down Space Mountain and replacing it with a new version. So yeah, we get to ride the original Space Mountain before it closes. And finally, on day 17, we're visiting the last park of the trip, but we're saving the best for last. On day 17, we're going to Tokyo Disney Sea. This is my most anticipated park in the entire world, and was a big reason why I wanted to go all the way to Japan. This park has the theming of like Pandora, the World of Avatar. Theming level is absolutely crazy. And when we go, we'll check out the brand new Fantasy Springs area, hopefully if we can get the premier access into the land. But if we can get a ticket in, we're going to try to visit the new Fantasy Springs, which I am super excited for. So yeah, that'll be our final day, or not final day, but final park day of the trip. And on day 18, we'll be flying back to the United States of America via Haneda Airport. So on day 18, I'll just drop my passport. On day 18, we'll be going from Haneda Airport to Los Angeles, and basically, like immediately, we're going from Los Angeles back to the East Coast. I am beyond excited to bring this content with you guys, and I cannot wait to vlog the entire experience. Speaking of vlogs, I'll be releasing a vlog series in parts, and that'll be called the Japan Coaster Tour, which I am super excited to release to you guys. As you know, I am very inconsistent when it comes to releasing videos, but don't worry, I'll try to get the first video out by the end of June. And anyways, when riding roller coasters, make sure not to staple yourself, because if you do, you'll get no airtime. Bye guys.
もうお金ないけど。
まあええじゃないか。言い訳ねえだろ。ええじゃないかデビュー。
ええじゃないか。